What's up, weirdo? Shadetree Surgeon here, back on the Burt's Harley-Davidson Heritage Classic, the 107. And here on the other side of the SDF-1, apparently it's nothing but Heritages today, as me and Liren are both rolling out on red Heritage Classics. Did you know that this isn't a real gas cap? I tried to twist this off earlier to put gas in the bike, and now it's fallen off. Sorry, Burt's Harley-Davidson, I am not treating your bike well. Speaking of Heritage and Burt's, that's actually where we're headed today. Liren has never test rode a brand new Harley-Davidson. And the cool thing about Burt's is they actually let people test ride their bikes. Now, here's a funny thing. So I get in the comments all the time because you guys know I ride all sorts of different motorcycles. I've got a Triumph, I've got a Honda, I've got a KTM, I've got a Ducati. I love all motorcycles, but I end up spending a lot of time on Harley-Davidsons, and you guys know that I do a lot of work specifically with Burt's Harley-Davidson. So a lot of people say, why don't you do a long-term test on an Indian Chieftain or an Indian Challenger? I think that's the new one from them, or on a Triumph or on one of those other bikes. Well, I don't do a long-term test because, like, first off, I can test ride Triumphs because I also test ride Triumphs at Tampa Triumph, but that's about it. Nobody else offers test rides, let alone a long-term loan to a YouTuber with the and then allowing them to say whatever they want about the motorcycle. You can have your problems with Harley-Davidson, that's fine. I've got my problems with Harley as well. But the fact of the matter is Burt's just gives me loaner bikes to review and ride around with no strings attached, allows me to say whatever I want about them, do whatever I want with them. Nobody else does that. So there you go. That's why you don't see me on any other bikes. I don't have any kind of permanent contract with Burt's. Nothing's in writing. It's all a handshake deal. I'm allowed to do whatever I want with whoever else I want. Guess what? Nobody else wants to do anything with me. They don't want anything to do with Shadetree Surgeon. Burt's Harley-Davidson is the only dealership and the only company that is willing to do things the way that I want to do them, which is no strings attached. I'm allowed to say whatever I want about your product and do stuff like I say, like, I can't believe this has a fake gas cap on it, and I went to twist it off, and now it just fell off while I was riding it down the street. Like, that's ridiculous, man. When I say nobody else wants to work with me, that's not completely true. I've had other companies reach out to me. Like I said, though, they're just not willing to do it on my terms. And my terms are no terms. I get to say and do whatever I want, period. So there you go. If you're not willing to do that, you're not working with me. And trust me, almost no companies are willing to do that. And here we go. So today I'm on the Heritage Classic that I'm probably not going to have long enough to do a super long-term review. And I'm about to talk a bunch of smack on it because I'm not really in love with this bike. And Burt's is okay with that. Now, I'll tell you, the only reason I'm a little bit afraid to talk smack on this bike right now is not because of Burt's, it's because Liren loves her Heritage Classic, and she's a professional dominatrix, so I don't want to talk too much crap here, as I keep saying Liren, but if you watch the channel, you probably know her better as Madam Hexa. Anyway, the Heritage Classic. This is kind of like my first 500-mile impression of this motorcycle. Like I said, I'm not in love with it. The seat's not very comfortable. I'm not really crazy about the weird, like, wannabe studs on the seats and the bags. But the real problem with this bike is everything's just soft and squishy. I've called it the angry grandpa. I said if Metamucil made motorcycles, this is what they'd be like. Of course, the bike I'm comparing it to is the 2020 Road King Special, which is physically a larger bike than this, but it's just everything's soft. Like the bushings on these risers, I can pull it back and forth. The suspension is just big and wallowy. The seat is just soft, but not soft in a good way. Like soft as in it kind of lacks support. Like just the whole bike just feels kind of lazy, like a big armchair that, you know, is hard to get out of. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. This bike is like a big cushy armchair that you sit back in it, and then when it's time to get out, you look like a moron trying to get out of the thing. And it isn't necessarily bad. It's supposed to be a touring bike, but I will tell you, I don't know if it's just the suspension. It does not handle as well as the Road King Special. The suspension isn't as good. It bottoms out a lot easier. And everything just feels a little looser and like I said, just wallowy and vague. Like all my inputs feel a little more vague, which I guess is the point because this is supposed to be kind of like an easygoing touring bike that's comfortable to ride around. And so all the things I'm complaining about, someone else would really like. It's not for me. I like touring bikes, but I like my touring bikes to be honed to a little more of a razor's edge than this thing is. That and this fake stick-on gas cap. Give me a break with that crap. Well, I'll tell you, I certainly think that Liren looks a whole lot better on that Heritage Classic than I do on this one. Although I don't think that has anything to do with the bike necessarily. Hey, being ugly sets you free, baby. Can you imagine having to be beautiful all the time? That sounds really stressful. All right, you gonna stay? Please do. Like old Tom Waits said, my friends say I'm ugly. I got a masculine face. They're riding in the back of the dump truck over here, man. I freaking love it. Always, the fine folks at Burt's Harley Davidson do provide free beer, so I would pay for it, but when it's free, definitely get one. Yes, it's Michelob Ultra, but you know, when in Rome. All right, we've been looking around seeing what bike Liren's gonna test ride, and I think we found it right here. Woo! Yeah, I think that's the one. Let me tell you right now, dude, if you've ever seen Terminator 2, and if you like motorcycles, and you're around my age, between like 27 and 37, you've seen Terminator 2, and the Fat Boys will always hold a special place in your heart. As for me, so some of the complaints I was making about the Heritage were that it's soft, that everything feels kind of loose on it, that it's just kind of too easy going of a motorcycle for my taste. So I'm actually going to take out the Sport Glide, which I think essentially fixes all those problems. So I think that bike is basically the Heritage Classic, but everything's just tightened up a little bit. I keep complaining that the Heritage Classic looks like the Metamucil Glide, but this Sport Glide right here is actually really good looking. Now, it is supposed to be a touring bike, and the fact that they only put one disc on the front is kind of annoying to me, but it's such a good looking wheel that the fact that it doesn't have one on this side, you can see how cool that wheel looks, is really nice too. Of course, those Fat Boy wheels are awesome as well, but I don't know, man. It's a touring bike. You should have put dual disc on it. I'm just going to throw my stuff in there real quick. Thanks, man. Cool, dude. Oh, wow. I like the way that works. All right, Liren, Madam Hexa, your very first time on a brand new Harley Davidson.
Ready.
Oh, yeah? Hell yeah. She was a little nervous, but I'm like, man, they still got clutches and throttles. They ain't freaking making me. Of course, everybody's nervous because these are brand new, very expensive bikes. I get it, but Burt's is pretty cool. So this is my first time on a Sport Glide. Ooh, I really, actually really like the way this bike looks. This is a good looking motorcycle, although I assume that gas cap is still fake. Oh, I can already tell I like this a lot better. I actually like the seating position better. I like the bars better. I don't like that it doesn't have dual front disc, but just immediate impressions. I think that if I was going to get a light touring bike, I'd probably go with the Sport Glide instead of the Heritage. Although I think I'd opt for a 114, if you can even get a 114 in the Heritage. Although, I said it before, so you can definitely tell the difference between the 114 and the 107, but it's not as big a difference as you'd expect. I mean, the 107 still feels plenty powerful, especially off the line. It's actually more in the top end where you start to notice a bigger difference. Oh, look at these guys are rocking out the sidecar. I love it. How cool. Oh, I gotta tell you, I don't know about the GIMP mask here in the Florida weather. I mean, if you're gonna wear a helmet, wear a helmet. But the leather GIMP mask out here when it's in the 90s? Come on, dude, you're just torturing yourself for no reason now. I got a feeling she's gonna like that thing. She looks freaking tough on it too. Look at her go, man. I'm sure whatever nervousness she was feeling evaporated immediately. Dude, I gotta tell you, everything I didn't like about the Heritage, and I didn't hate the Heritage, but everything I don't like about the Heritage, I love about the Sport Glide. This would be my choice. I like this bike a lot. look at this thing. You know how I know you're an asshole? That's how. What do you think, Liren? Hell yeah! I think that about says it all. You like it? It's fast, right? Yeah, she's got the 114. I've actually got the small engine in mine. Well, smaller, 107. You can't really call that small. Well, what do you think about Liren on the Fat Boy? Make sure you go over to her Instagram at Madam Hexa. Let her know what you thought about her being on the Fat Boy over here. Oh, just everything. Everything just feels tighter. The seat is firmer. The bars, the bushings aren't as soft. So again, all the reasons I like the Sport Glide might be all the reasons you like the Heritage over it. Yeah, this is basically like every annoyance I had with the Heritage. I just got on this. I'm like, oh, well, this fixes it. Feels faster. I know it's not any faster. It's got the same engine as the Heritage does. It just feels tighter. Feels like it handles better. Definitely harsher on the bump. So if you're looking for something that's going to cuddle your tushy, the Heritage is definitely the bike for you. I like this. Tighter. A little sharper, you know what I mean? Hell, it's in the name, the Sport Glide, right? I actually like the windshield better lower like this because the Heritage windshield just really buffets my helmet. And this allows the wind to be hitting my helmet, which is not a problem. I've been riding motorcycles my whole life. But this short fairing like this keeps a lot of the wind blast off my body, which, you know, you do want it off your head to a certain degree if you want a full-on touring bike. But keeping it off your body is really what saves you all the fatigue when you're going long distances. Keeping it off your head can be very, very weird to do. 75 miles an hour, I feel much better on this than I do on the Heritage. And that's just, for somebody else, the Heritage windshield will be perfect. It's just not good for me because my height is all it is. Still very fun. It's not the 114. That's still a whole lot of fun. I like this bike. I think I really enjoy the Sport Glide, actually, I gotta tell you. Yeah, the Sport Glide with a 114, I think that'd be my jam, baby. Although, I do still think that the touring chassis actually handles better than this. No, everyone's gonna jump down my throat about that. I literally think that the touring chassis, the Road King and everything like that, handles better than the Softail chassis. Of course, this isn't a review. Hell, I don't even think I'm going to have the Heritage long enough to review it. And this little freaking 10-mile test ride is definitely not long enough to review a bike. But I think it's actually, a lot of people wanted to see the Heritage Softail and the Sport Glide back to back. I mean, they're kind of, I think there's a lot of people who are kind of trying to choose between those two bikes. And like I said, they're both good, but I really, really prefer the Sport Glide so far. Just from this little jaunt around the block. Obviously, I'd have to put a few weeks on it to know if I'd really, really like it. But coming right off the Heritage and getting onto this, I'm just like, oh, wow, okay. You guys just fixed everything that was annoying me. I would want that 114, though. All right, let's put this up before I start begging them to exchange my Heritage for this Sport Glide. I'm not going to do that. I want to give the Heritage a fair shake. You know, I had some complaints about it, but I've only had it for, like I said, I think I put like 500 miles on it, and you really can't honestly make any kind of good decision about a motorcycle in 500 miles. So we're still going to give her a chance. So what's the verdict? Could you see yourself on a Fat Boy there, Liren?
I liked it, man. That bike means business.
Yeah, there's never any bike like your own. Like, I always love my personal bike the best, but yeah, these are nice. Although I haven't ridden this, I haven't ridden a new Fat Boy.
Feel the years of difference between.
Yeah, between the twin cam and the new Milwaukee 8.
Yeah.
It is a whole lot faster, that's for sure. She loved it, man. Well, we've had a beer, we've had a test ride, not necessarily in that order, but as always, the folks up here at Birch Harley Davidson treat me really good. As I was saying earlier in the video, there's a reason why I do business with Birch. Although I don't get paid or anything, it's literally just a working relationship, but all the people here are cool too, you know, there's no money changes hands. They always, when I come up here, they say people come in all the time, and the general manager actually just came up to me and said that specifically if you come in, he always tries to make sure, because he doesn't want anyone to come up to me and go, man, I hate Birch. He specifically says he tries to make sure anybody who mentions the channel gets extra special treatment. They treat everybody good here, but say I sent you and they'll treat you extra good. But it's time to head back to Tampa, so we're gonna jump back on our personal bikes. Of course, my bike is Birch's bike still, but it's her personal bike, and I think we're gonna go to Coppertail, see what's going on over there. So Liren says all she needs, here's some good advice for you boys out there. She just says, all you gotta do is feed me and tell me I'm pretty. You want to know the way to a woman's heart? There you go. Fun testing out those bikes, but we're back on our matching red, almost matching red Heritages that are, here's how hot it is in Florida, by the way. We're only here for like an hour and they're already starting to sink into the asphalt. So you get on this and your immediate reaction jumping back on the Heritage is, wow, this is comfortable. But for me, in the long run, over longer periods of time, I feel like it's actually less comfortable. For me. Ah! She's like, your bag is open. Indeed it is. Oh, it's because my hat's on the latch. I don't know, man. The Sport Glide it just feels faster. But hey, it's a sportier bike where everything's just a little tighter. So yeah, it feels faster. Well, that was fun over at Birch's. But I think I'm in the mood for a beer with a little more flavor than Michelob Ultra. Although, free beer tastes good. I think I'm going to go pay for a beer at Coppertail Brewing. Back home in good old historic Ybor City. Of course, the Shame's down there, 7th Avenue. But we're going to Coppertail right now, which is on Highway 60 across the street from the IKEA. Now, for you guys who don't drink beer, we're going to have to go here someday. This is the Gasparilla Rum Company, and they actually distill rum and vodka and a couple other things there. But I'm actually personally not much of a liquor drinker, despite the fact that everybody says I talk like a pirate. I actually really don't drink rum. Out of all distilled spirits, of which I rarely partake, if I'm going to drink anything, it's usually tequila. And for everybody in my last video who was complaining that we weren't wearing masks, we still do wear masks in a lot of places. It's about 100 degrees outside. You saw the melted asphalt out there, so the beer's tasting pretty good right now. One of the things I love about coming into Coppertail and Ybor City is you never know who's going to show up. Cheers, gang. Cheers. Always good hanging out and having beers with friends and doing it responsibly, okay? We are being responsible here. Huge shout out to a guy whose name just ran right out of my head. I sat here and talked to him for a little while. He watches the channel and he bought our food. Bought our food and bought our beers without saying anything and then dipped out. So if you're watching this right now, thanks for the booze and the pretzel, man. And if there's a quick way to my heart, the same as it is to Liren's heart, it's buy me food. I wouldn't hear calling me pretty because I know you're just lying then. Just food and beer, please. Don't tell me I'm pretty because ugly guys have more fun. Getting a little bit closer to home and heading to Social House for a nightcap, even though it's not night yet, but we've had a couple beers and we're trying to treat these Heritages responsible and get close to the house for our last beer. Plus, I haven't been to Social House in a while, and I want to show my friend Taylor a little bit of support. That's his joint there in Seminole Heights, and that's right down the street from my house. So, Social House is technically my neighborhood bar. I think they're closed. For reasons unbeknownst to me, Social House was actually closed today. It's hard to tell exactly what's going to be happening with somebody these days. Times are certainly very uncertain. It was a good day. I had a good time. I'm glad I took you guys along with me. Glad we got to test ride some bikes, do the Sport Glide versus the Heritage, and till next time, y'all, keep it weird.